The worst case that these Green New Deal pushers have made is this insane claim that the climate will be past the point of no return in 12 years. Unless, of course, you agree to a complete government takeover of business, fuel, and energy. Cost be damned. Of course, these politicians don't care how much of your money they need for these programs, they're making the big bucks. Here's the thing. If you actually believe that, that's the best argument for doing nothing about climate change at all. The United States is only responsible for 15% of the world's carbon emissions. So if the world really is fucked in as little as 12 years, there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. Literally nothing. But Cortez now states that conservatives were wrong for taking her 12-year claim seriously. Which makes sense to me, coming from the person who said that they're more concerned about being morally right than being precisely, factually, or semantically correct. But this all seems familiar, right? Al Gore told us that we'd all be living underwater by now, right before he retreated back to his millionaire estate in a private jet. Any politician that gives you some specific doomsday is completely full of shit. It's nothing but a fear-mongering power grab. Cortez doesn't care about the environment. She really doesn't. If she did, her Green New Deal would have focused entirely on climate change, rather than the Communist Manifesto it more closely resembled. She knew damn well all the economic policies pushed in this bill would prevent it from getting bipartisan support, which it desperately needed. But politicians do this all the time. They'll take something that sounds universally good, like a Green New Deal, and include in it all the things that they really want and hope you don't notice. And if you do notice, then they can point at you and say, oh, well you must hate the environment. Now before you freak out, no, I am not a climate denier. Climate change is real and we definitely play a role. So, what should we do? I'd always been under the assumption that switching to renewable energy was the obvious solution here. But after watching a TED Talk recently, I have fundamentally changed my mind about this subject. Michael Schellenberger is a hardcore environmentalist and has spent his whole life pushing for the government to expand its renewable energy programs. But in doing so, he noticed a lot of problems, and now his biggest concern is, in an effort to save the climate, are we destroying the environment? Lots of large bird species in the US are literally being driven to extinction because of windmills and solar farms. Birds are flying into these windmills and being eviscerated, and a lot of them are being scorched in the sky from the reflection off of these solar farms. Massive amounts of land are being cleared out to mine the materials to build these solar panels, and for the land space to create the solar farms. Millions of animals are being killed to do this, and what do we do with all of these solar panels after their 20 to 30 year lifespan? They're certainly not biodegradable, but there is a better option. Nuclear energy. Now when people hear that, they freak out. They think bombs, Chernobyl, shit like that. But nuclear energy is clean energy, and it's the safest form of energy, not just for animals, but for humans too. Not only is it safer, but it requires 450 times less land than solar farms, and produces more energy for less cost. In fact, as Germany and California have started to transition more and more to renewable energy, those energy costs have continued to increase. Alternatively, France gets the majority of their power from nuclear. And because of that, they're getting twice as much of their power from clean energy at only half the cost. Now, people understandably worry that because nuclear isn't renewable energy, that it's a greater pollutant to the environment. But that's just not the case. For the energy produced, nuclear power requires significantly less resources, like concrete, metal, glass, and other materials. Nuclear power is so energy dense that nearly 50 years worth of waste from Switzerland's nuclear program fits into this one room. I'll have a link to the TED Talk in the description if anybody wants to see the non-annotated version of this discussion. Now, none of this is to say that wind and solar don't have their place. I think we should invest in improving these technologies and use them on a personal basis. But I think when it comes to how we go about powering our main grids, it is vital that we follow France's example and transition to nuclear energy.